Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Pitmaster JW once again of the competition barbecue team, JW Barbecue in the Wing. And today I am going to show you how to trim up a Boston butt. Okay, I'm outside and I might have to fan a little bit once in a while. It's still that time of the year. Flies are still like all over the place. So work with me on this one. So what I have in front of you right now is a 9.5 pound Boston butt by Smithfield. And I am going to show you how to trim this Boston butt up to get it ready to cook. Whether you're going to do a competition or are you doing a backyard cook, I want to show you how to get it trimmed and prepped to do either one that you might wish to do. So the first thing I need to do, I need to come over here and wipe this bad boy down, like give it a little cleansing bath. I got some white distilled vinegar that I'm just going to wipe over it, clean it up a little bit, kind of sanitize it, I guess you could say. So you just grab your paper towel. You don't have to do this. I just like doing mine before I decide to go ahead and trim it up and get it ready to cook. Give it a little sanitation bath here is what I call it. And let me grab another paper towel here. Okay. And dap some of this up. Like I say, this is a 9.5 pound Boston butt. And I am getting ready to trim it up, get it seasoned, wrap it up, and then I'm just going to let it set overnight and get up tomorrow and go to work on it, cooking it. So if you like to go ahead on and throw yours on the smoker or the grill, whichever one you prefer to do, right after this video, then by all means go ahead. So now that I got it all patted down, let me put this out of the way because I don't want the flies to come out here and try to take things away from me while I'm out here doing this video. Now this is the backside of the Boston butt. This end where the bone is at is called a horn. This end down here that you see, if you was in competition, this is not a fat one, but it'll work in a competition. This is called the money muscle, the thing that you be hearing about all the time. See them white lines running through it? Okay, they're on opposite end. Just remember the money muscle is on one end. The horn, the bone is on the other end. So now, I'm going to turn it around. And the first thing I like to do is get out my paring knife. And make sure that you got a sharp one. Because it comes in handy to have your knife. There we go, here it is. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start working from the horn. See all this white fatty tissue right here? Just get right up under that, not digging too deep into the meat itself. And just slide your knife from one side of it to the other side. Okay. Now as you can see, it parts away from the horn. You can just take your knife once you find where it's divided at. Just take your knife, make a nice old slow cut. Almost like splitting it in half, but you're not. You're just gutting away at all that fatty tissue. See how I'm doing? That's all it is. You're just pulling away, opening it up. The reason I'm doing this is because I like to get that skin and that fat off the meat so I can get my rub to stick to the meat and soak into the meat. And that's where you get your flavors from. You see how I'm doing that? I'm just sticking it right up under that silver skin and just pushing it down to the center of the butt. See how it's peeling right off? Look at there. And you just take all that fatty stuff and just throw it to the side. Go back in until you done got as much as possible you can without cutting too deep into the meat, especially getting them veins out of there. You want to get them blood veins out of there because they're not going to run while you're cooking. And so now you come down to the bottom of it and do the same. Remember, using a sharp knife helps a lot. And just get right up under that silver skin without going too deep into the meat. And just cut away at it. Just like that. You put some of that out of the way. I'm going to come back up to the top here. Trim off just a little bit more. And I should have put something up under this because this is trying to slip away from me out here. I'm out back in my backyard. Okay, so I'm still at the point of the horn. With the bone, remember, that's the horn, okay? So now, I done got about most of that off that I can get. Remember, you want to get as much fat and silver skin off this butt as you possibly can, because the more you get off, the better you have a chance of your rub seeking down into the meat. Now going up to the top part that I divided, do the same thing, just barely stick the knife up under the skin and just let the knife slowly glide itself on down to the valley, as I call it. And you'll watch that fat, that silver skin, just pops right up. You see how it's popping up without pulling up all the meat? And then you come back to the top, do the same thing. Stick that knife back up under that silver skin and just keep plucking away at it until it's almost gone. You're not going to get all of it, but you want to get as much as you possibly can. Okay, now I'm going to come back down here a little bit. Try to trim away at some of that. And if you don't have a sharp knife, that's never going to happen. I'm going to tell you, you're never going to be able to get that up. So make sure that when you start doing this, you sharpen up your knife. And just be careful. Be real careful, because you don't want the knife to slip and you mess around and cut yourself. Okay, so and pretty much got up under here as close as I can get without cutting actually into the meat. Let me trim that little bit off there. Okay. Now this Boston butt has various parts, which I'm going to show you a couple of them. And also feel around. You see with this bone, it's at the top here. It's been chiseled off by the busher who didn't do a pretty good job in separating the meat from the bone when he was cutting out this Boston butt. So you just want to feel around. Make sure you don't have any bones that might need to also come off too, because you don't want that in your meat after you done did all that cooking, and then you mess around to go eat and you bite into a bone. Nothing like it. Okay, so now when it come down on the end of the money muscle, I'll come back to the crown, the head of it, in just a minute and trim some of that fat off. So I'm working my way down by the money muscle now. Remember, the money muscle is on the opposite end of the bone, the crown, whatever you want to call it, the bone. Pretty simple for those who don't want to use a professional pitmaster term. So I'm going to come over here and trim some of this fat off here, this hard fat that's around the money muscle, and I'm going to cut the money muscle out for a moment. Now if you're doing this at home for a backyard cook, you don't need to be concerned about cutting the money muscle out. But this is for all you pitmasters out there or planning to become a pitmaster. I want to go ahead on and trim this money muscle out for you while I'm at it. Once again, I'm Pitmaster JW of the Competition Barbecue team, and you are with me learning how to trim a Boston butt and how to season it and to put it away until you're ready to cook, or to go ahead on and put it on the grill when you're finished. Now I'm going to turn this around just a little bit here so you can see. Alright, you still with me? Alright. Now, you see these lines running through the money muscle? That indicate that it is the money muscle. So, what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to go up in here and slice this up to get ready to trim up my money muscle. So you come down to the edge of that white line that I just cut through. flip it back over to the top. Looking at the top again. You want to get up under there just where the fat begins to render at. Okay. You see how I'm cutting this? And just cut that down until you can grab that fat. You see? Look at there. I need to trim that just a little bit more right there. Now, this is your money muscle. This is going to be the thing like a lot of guys in the competition use to try to win them big prizes and stuff. And if you cook it right, I can guarantee you're at least going to get a calling. And that's what you're shooting for. So now you want to come back to the side and try to square that money muscle off. And that is a pretty good money muscle right there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we're on the top. So, you don't want to trim too much of the fat off, but you do want to trim it down just a little bit, because this portion right here, just across from the money muscle, is what we call the bacon. And you want to leave just a little fat, because if you cook that and don't overcook it, that'll be some nice stuff to put in the competition box. But if you're cooking at home, you're really not concerned about that. You just want to make sure that it's cooked well and at the right temperature when it's finished, and do whatever you do to enjoy it. Okay. Now I want to go ahead on, just trim a little fat off the top, not to cut too low down into the meat, and throw that out of the way. And go back up to the head, get up under the crown just a little bit, pull some of that out. And grab this end, hold it tight so it won't move. Okay, so I done did get this little fat part here. It ain't gonna render while I'm cooking. Now, you want to leave the rest of this on it so you can protect, like I say, the other meat and keep it from burning up, cooking too fast. I'm gonna flip it back over and turn it around to you. Now you see all these things here? I want to show you some things about this. First of all, let me show you, starting with the tenderloin. Now, if you're using a competition, you don't have to do this if you're not cooking it, prepping this for a competition. This portion of the meat right here, you see that flap that I split it in half? This portion right here is called a tenderloin. So I want to go in here, make a nice even cut on both sides of it, and square it up. Now, if you was going to use this portion of the competition, you would come in here and cut you, when it's finished, slices out like you was doing a pork tenderloin. Okay, cool. All right, now coming back up to the front to get you some chunks. See all these fat pieces of meat right here? You will get you some nice chunks out of this. But one way to start that is to go in here with this knife to separate the meat from the bone. Same thing on the other side. Just flip it over, get your knife, and when it's done, you can go in there, take this, and make you some nice chunks to put in your competition box. Alright. Now, another thing that you can use, and a lot of people generally don't because they ended up overcooking it. Up under this flap that I cut earlier, there are 3 muscles in here. Okay, they are called the tubes. You feel it, 1, 2, and there's another one up under there. They're sort of like almost like little baby small cigars. Okay, you can pull those out and make strings out of them to put in your box for competition if you like. But once again, if you're doing this at home, you're not concerned about that. You just want to cook you a nice Boston butt. So, now I done went through all this. I worked with you, trimming up the money muscle. Nice and fat, okay? When you finish with it, it gets up to about 190, 195. You want to cut that off, set it to the side, and later on, when I do the Boston butt, I'll show you just how to cook that, trim it, and slice it up if you was going to use it for competition, okay? Now, the last thing I want to do here is go back in here and get this seasoned. So, I'm going to flip it back over on the back side. Let me put my knife out of the way here. Now, I have some mustard over here. You don't have to use mustard. You don't have to use anything, to be honest. Some people use oil. You just go ahead on. The only thing the mustard do, it doesn't change the taste of the meat. The only thing it does is help the season stick to the meat. So you're using it sort of as a binder to keep the rub from falling off the meat, okay, while it's cooking. You just get this in here and just rub it up real good. Just rub it up all over the place. Just get crazy with it if you want to. Or you can just use a little bit of it. Okay. Just squeeze it all over, front and back, in between all the little crevices here. You want to make sure you get as much of it in there as you possibly can. And the rub that I'm going to be using today is my very own competition rub. Pitmaster JW Competition Pork Rub. You can buy that online, as well as my barbecue sauce. And of course they have won a couple of competitions here. So they do work. And they have served over a few thousand individuals who keep coming back, a lot of them. And all I got to say, if you want some true barbecue rub and some true pulled pork barbecue sauce, then I highly recommend mine. Not because of mine, but it's good. Okay, now I'm going to flip this pan back around real quick. I'm going to turn it over on the back side again, and I'm going to start my rub on the back side. Okay. I'm just looking in here to see that I have another. Yes, I do. So, you guys give me just a moment here to wipe my hands off. I should have brought more paper towels than I did. I brought some gloves. Okay. Now, this is my competition barbecue rub. These things can take whatever amount of season you decide to put on them, so you can never put too much. You can put maybe not enough, but never too much. So you just want to go in and just put that rub on, apply that rub. Like I say, all between the little cracks and stuff. Flip that back over. Like I'm doing the back side right now. And I will flip it over to the top in a moment. You also want to get the sides. Okay, just like that. Go in there, get all the sides. Pat that down just a little bit. See, I got that. And I want you to use as much rub as you want to, especially if you're using mine. So you can order some more. No, I'm just messing with you. But use a lot of rub. Now you see how I did that? Okay, now let me push this out of the way for a second. I got some aluminum foil that I'm going to wrap this up in overnight. Or you can just put yours in a container if you like to. But I'm going to use the aluminum foil technique. And I got 2 double sheets here. And there's a lot of activity going on over here. I'm in Suffolk, but just outside of the Portsmouth city limit. So there's a lot of activity going on over there somewhere, or something is wrong. I don't know if you guys hear them sirens or not, but they're pretty loud. Okay. Now, I'm going to come down here using 2 layers of aluminum foil. I'm going to pick this butt up again, and this time I'm going to flip it over on the top side and do the top side. Okay, same thing, just apply that rub like it's just going out of style. Okay, so once again, I am using my competition barbecue pork rub, and you can buy that online. Once again, you can go to my website at www.jwbbqandwings.com. And here it come again. Get ready. If you're not ready, I'll give you a moment to get something to write it down, or you can watch the video again and just get it from the video. Is www.jwbbqandwings.com. And the same thing, you can get my competition barbecue pulled pork rub as well. So now that I got this all seasoned up, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to wrap it up. Let this set overnight so it can sweat. Sweat means that the rub is soaked in into the meat, and it has got a little watery, and that is what you call sweating. Okay, so let's fold this foil over. And there you have it, one nice tight 9.5 pound. Well, it's not 9.5 pounds no more, probably about maybe 8 1/4, 8.5 now, but after all the trimming of the fat. So I would probably say close to about about 8 3/4 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. So it's all wrapped up now. Now I'm going to let this set overnight, and I'm going to come back tomorrow, and then I'm going to take this out and let this rest for about an hour before I decide to put it on the grill and let it come up to room temperature. And then I want to do some smoking, and end up you guys going to see some nice barbecue after that. Well, at least a nice smoked Boston butt. So until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, you guys take care, and I hope you got something out of this. And if you did, then please hit that like button and also that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. And until the next time, I like to just say I enjoyed being here. I hope you enjoyed looking at it. You guys take care. I'll catch you later.